Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Violet. And I'm Ruby.
And today we're taking a look at the second expansion for CATAN, Cities and Knights. This is an expansion. And what I mean by that is this expansion changes the game so much.
Yeah.
It is almost not a completely different game because it still is CATAN. But Seafarers added a few things. This adds a ton. So let's take a look at what it does, and we'll be right back. Cities and Knights is set up pretty similar to a regular game of CATAN, except there's a barbarian ship that's going to be placed over here, and the robber doesn't start on the board right away. They'll start over here, and they'll show up on the board the first time the ship gets over here. Now, there are 3 new resources in the game. We got paper, cloth, and coin, and you'll notice that they match 3 of the resources, and that you get these whenever a city, and you'll start with a city in this game, by the way. When a city is next to one of these and produces, you will get, instead of 2 rock, I would get 1 rock and 1 coin, or 1 wood and 1 cloth, paper, or 1 sheep and 1 cloth, and that's how you get those resources. They're called commodities, and you can also trade for them in the markets when you're trading cards around. You want commodities because you can spend them to move up these tracks here on science, trade, and politics. And the reason you do that is when you roll your dice, you're also rolling a 3rd die here. Now, if you roll the barbarian ship will move forward 1, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But if you roll one of the symbols here, so let's say I roll the trade symbol, we then will check the red die. So let's say the red die is at 2, and my black cube is up here, which would have cost me 6 cloth. Then it's between 1 and 4, so I'll get to draw a trade card. So the regular deck of cards no longer exists. These cards are here instead, and so each one has kind of a theming to it. There's still a few different point cards in here, but this one lets you swap 2 number discs of your choice, except for the good ones, 2, 6, 8, or 12. Build 2 roads at no cost. Build a city improvement for 1 commodity less. There's the victory point I talked about, and that's one of the decks. The politics deck is more about going after other players, where you can look their hand of these progress cards, remove an open road from the board, activate your knights. Each player with more victory points than you must give you 2 cards of their choice. And then the trade cards, well, they're mostly about trading, and some of them involve a merchant piece, which for some reason looks like a fat missile. But these cards here say put the merchant piece on a land hex, and you can trade that for 2 to 1. So there's a lot of those, but there's also resource monopoly, guild dues, and other cards in these decks. So these cards, once you improve your city by moving up on those tracks, you can get a lot of cards. Also, when you pass these, you'll get a bonus. Here, if you don't produce anything, you get a resource of your choice. You can turn any 2 commodities for another commodity or resource, and you can promote knights to level 3. There are a few more things that you can build in this. One thing you can build is walls. You can build a wall on a city, and what a wall does is it costs 2 bricks, and it increases the number of cards you can hold in your hand by 2 when the robber hits. So now I can have 9 cards. If I build all 3 walls, I can have 13 cards in my hand. You can also recruit knights. You can recruit level 1 knights here, and then you can also promote knights to 2, and once you've moved up on the track far enough to level 3, knights are placed out at different intersections on the road. You have the possibility to move them. Promoting them and recruiting them cost a sheep and a rock, and then activating them, when they first come out, they're laying down, activating them cost a grain. Now, what they can do is they can stop other players from building a road through an intersection they're in, but you can lay one down to chase off the robber if the robber is next to them. But more importantly, they're used to face the barbarians. When the barbarians land, you're going to count the number of cities on the board. That is the strength of the barbarians. Then you're going to count the strength of all your knights. If you are equal to or higher, you've chased them off, and whoever has the highest knights that were used for that, they get a victory point. If the barbarians land and there's not enough knights to chase them off, then whoever has the fewest knights that were sent out will have to demote one of their cities back down to a settlement. So it's very important to get them out. The last thing to mention here, there's a few other changes to the game, but the last thing to mention here is if you get to the top of these tracks, you get to build a metropolis, and you can put the metropolis on top of one of your cities on the board, and it makes it worth 4 points rather than 2. Whew, there's so much to talk about in this one here. So let's start with the most boring of all things, the walls. 2 brick, but you can hold more cards in your hand.
Oh, right. You were the only one who built that, right?
No, I built one too. After I got robbed, and I didn't want that to happen again.
Because you can get a lot of cards in this game.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting thing to have. It costs 2 brick. Brick's not used for a lot of other things other than roads, so that's not too bad. I like it. I also... and then the other big thing is the commodities. Now, I do want to mention with the commodities, I do miss the old Catan had a little flip book. Whereas you upgrade it, you would flip over the cards. It just looked cooler. The moving the cubes up is just not as cool. But you guys have never seen that. But what did you think about the commodities, moving them up, getting cards? It's like a whole different game.
I like the commodities. I like the little upgrades they would give you, and like, especially how you can like specifically focus on one and get all the way to the top. I don't know why you kept fighting on me for one of them.
Well, the Metropolis, right? To get that, well,
Yeah.
because it's 2 points. It's a big deal.
He got
Well,
it
then fight for
first, and
another
then
one.
Violet spent maybe, 14 coins the next
How
turn
did you have
just
so many?
to beat
Yeah,
him.
there is a lot of coins in
She
one turn.
was centered
on
in
all of
the
the-
stone area.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
to go in a big circle in order to get any. I was mostly trading with Violet through the entire game just to get any stones.
But it is neat to be able to move those up. It's neat to get cards. If you get them all up, like that's one of my things. I like to get them all up to at least 3 or 4. So every turn there's a chance that you're going to get some cards. And that's just fun.
I did not do that. I went all up on one, and then the others were like 2 and 1, I think.
I did my best. I wasn't particularly near any of them because I poorly placed my original settlements at the start of the game. But I was monopolizing the wheat.
Yeah, well, again, that's still part of the original game, right? And that's still in the game. I like the upgraded resources. Wheat and brick do not have upgraded resources, so you're just getting a lot of wheat and brick. Wheat is important in this game because it activates your knights. So let's talk about the knights part of this. So you have these knights, and you can block other people's building with them a little bit and fight off the robber. But mostly the knights are used to stop the barbarians.
Yes. I didn't really focus on blocking off other people because I just felt like that was a waste of an action. I did like how it like sort of brought in cooperation into the game.
Sort of. Because not everyone is helpful in this regard.
I didn't have any resources, so I had to spend my wheat in order to get new ones.
Someone built 25 roads, so I don't know that someone had no resources.
25.
Okay, slightly exaggerating. But so the knights fighting them off and then having to re-energize your knights to fight them off again, that doesn't feel like it just keeps happening and you feel depressed about that?
I mean, it didn't really happen. I mean, yes, we did roll the stupid ship too many times.
We definitely
But
did.
like, I would say Awakening the Knights was pretty cheap, honestly. It was just like a wheat per knight and didn't even matter what level they were at.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that part. Also, leveling them up was also fairly cheap. They didn't like overdo the price or anything.
Yeah, it was just the same for every time. If you want to build a knight, make a bigger knight.
Sure, but it's still a lot of resources that you could be putting into other things.
Yes.
Yeah, that is what I was doing.
So the game has a whole lot of different choices. There's a lot more things going on. I think the Knights is a little more confusing. My biggest problem with it, I like this expansion a lot more than I used to, but my biggest problem is it makes the game longer. It really does. Especially if the barbarians get through and start smashing people's cities down. They lose a point when that happens, and then they have to rebuild that city back up, which is work, and it just takes a while to get to that point.
Well, thankfully, we didn't have to deal with that because I immediately leveled up my knights. And then you tried stealing it from me.
Okay, first of all, I offered him health care and a really good place to sleep. So that's why he would come work for me. I'm just saying. But overall, I think some people who like Catan, and I know this for sure, some people love Catan and they hate this expansion because it changes so much. Other people say they'll never play Catan without this expansion. For me, Seafarers used to be my favorite expansion. Well, Fishermen of Catan, but then Seafarers. and because it was just easy, just add a little bit more. But as time has gone by, this one, I find the complexity enjoyable. The only thing I'm concerned about is the length, but I think this is my preferred way to play Catan now. I would give it a 7 out of 10.
Well, I really like this expansion, like, a lot. Like, the Seafarers one made it bigger, but, like, there wasn't much added to it. You said that's, like, really complicated. For me, it wasn't too much more. Yes, they definitely added way more than Seafarers, but, like, I could still tell it was, like, pretty much the same game, just with, like, extra things you have to consider.
Power-ups.
Yeah. But, like, the things they added honestly solved a lot of issues I had with the original game. And I liked the walls, how you could, like, keep more cards for yourself. That was really handy. Especially with, they weren't even that expensive. I think it was like 2 bricks.
Yeah,
right?
2 brick for a wall.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's not expensive to you.
I don't know. Start in a more bricky area.
I asked. He said, "Oh yeah, you can go here." As I placed it next to sheep and 2 wheat spots. You
Eh.
said that was fine. It was not fine.
I said it with a side. Oh, you should know that. Okay, anyway, what would you rate it?
Honestly, I like this game a whole lot more than you. So I would give it like an 8.5, honestly. It was really enjoyable for me.
Okay, what about you?
I'd give it an 8. I do like it better than Catan. It's still really good. I don't know. I definitely didn't like it as much as Violet did. It's a decent game.
All right, well, there you go, folks. That is the big expansion, Cities at Night of Catan. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Violet.
And I'm Ruby.
See you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.